Halcyon did not fall because it was weak. It fell because it believed weakness could be engineered out of existence. The Thran had built a city that looked like the future. A city of light, precision, progress. And beneath it, a world they refused to see. The fall of Halcyon. Halcyon was the crown of the Thran Empire. It was not merely a capital, it was a statement. That civilization could master nature. That suffering could be solved. That every system, if made precise enough, could be perfected. And for those who lived above, it must have felt true. Clean streets, engineered gardens, powerstone networks carrying energy through the city like veins of blue fire. The Thran did not imagine themselves as arrogant. They imagined themselves as responsible. But perfection has a shadow, and Halcyon's shadow lived beneath it. The sick, the unwanted, the inconvenient, those afflicted by a strange disease the Thran could not fully explain, were pushed downward. Not erased, not cured, contained. That was the first fracture. Not in the walls, not in the machines, in the idea. The Thran believed they had built a perfect society. But perfection that requires hiding suffering is not perfection. It is denial. At the center of Thran greatness stood Glacian, a master artificer, a mind capable of shaping powerstone technology beyond anything his people had known. His work helped lift Halcyon into legend. But legends have a cost. Glacian became ill, not with an ordinary sickness, something tied to the very power the Thran had built their world upon. And when the Empire's greatest mind began to fail, Halcyon needed a miracle. Rebbec was not just Glacian's wife. She was one of the architects of Halcyon's power. A leader, a builder, a woman trusted by the city. And she loved a man the Empire could not save. So when a healer arrived claiming he could do what the Thran could not, Rebbec listened. Yawgmoth came to Halcyon as an outsider. A physician, no ancient title, no loyalty to the systems that had shaped the Empire. And that made him dangerous. Because Yawgmoth could see the city clearly. He saw the sick beneath the streets. He saw the fear behind the golden towers. He saw that the Thran wanted salvation, but only if salvation did not threaten the story they told about themselves. At first, Yawgmoth gave them hope. He treated those others had abandoned. He studied the illness. He brought order to suffering. And to the people Halcyon had hidden, he looked like mercy. But mercy can become leverage. And Yawgmoth understood leverage better than anyone. Every patient he helped became proof. Every failure by the Thran made him stronger. Every fear inside Halcyon gave him room to move. He did not need to conquer the city. Not yet. He only needed the city to need him. But Glacian saw something others did not. He understood powerstones. He understood systems, and he began to understand Yawgmoth. To Glacian, Yawgmoth was not simply healing disease. He was redefining life, treating the body as a device, the mind as a mechanism, the soul as an obstacle. And Glacian was afraid. Rebbec stood between them. One man she loved, one man who seemed able to save him. And Halcyon stood with her, caught between loyalty to what it had built and terror of what it could not control. Then came the discovery that changed everything. A place beyond Dominaria, artificial, mechanical, vast. A world not born, but built. The Thran saw potential, an engine, a resource, a plane that could hold what Dominaria could not. Yawgmoth saw something else. He saw escape, power, a kingdom without the limits of flesh, a place where his ideas could grow without resistance, a world where imperfection did not have to be healed, only replaced. By then, Halcyon was no longer united. Some saw Yawgmoth as a savior. Some saw him as a threat. Some were too afraid to choose. But empires do not survive when truth becomes a faction. The cities split, above and below, sick and healthy, faithful and doubtful, progress and fear. And Yawgmoth stood at the center, turning every fracture into a weapon. The fall of Halcyon was not one moment. It was a sequence, a system failing in slow motion. Trust failed first, then law, then mercy, then memory. The city that had once measured everything could no longer measure the cost of survival. And as Halcyon broke, Phyrexia waited, not as an invading army, not yet, but as an answer, a door, a promise. To the desperate, it looked like refuge. To Yawgmoth, it looked like a throne. In the end, Rebbec saw what Halcyon had become. She saw the disease, the fear, the followers, the machines. And she saw Yawgmoth, not as healer, not as savior, but as the thing the Empire had invited inside. So Rebbec made a choice, one that would echo through Dominaria for thousands of years. She sealed the way to Phyrexia. She closed the door. She trapped Yawgmoth beyond it. But sealing a wound is not the same as healing it. Halcyon was already lost. The Golden City fell. The Thran Empire collapsed. Much of its greatness vanished into ruin, myth, and buried stone. But the most dangerous thing it created survived. Because Phyrexia did not disappear. It waited. And long after the Thran were gone, long after Halcyon became a memory, two brothers would find what the Empire left behind. The fall of Halcyon was not the end of the Thran. It was the beginning of everything they failed to bury. And in the echoes of that failure, Dominaria would break again.